Annabelle, the doll who waits by the dorm. They say the doll never moves when you're looking, but it waits. Always near the door. Always near someone new. Samantha never believed in haunted objects. A newly minted nurse in Hartford, Connecticut, she laughed at her roommate's obsession with the paranormal. So when she spotted the battered Raggedy Ann doll at a yard sale, its fabric stained and button-eye dangling, she bought it as a joke. Annabelle, she scrawled across the doll's chest in black marker. The first night, the doll ended up on the couch. By morning, it sat by the apartment door, facing it. Samantha laughed, assuming her roommate was pranking her. The next day, she returned home after a 12-hour shift. The apartment was quiet. Too quiet. The door creaked as she opened it. Annabelle was sitting upright on the kitchen table, arms outstretched as if mid-embrace. That night, Samantha locked the doll in a closet. Around 2 a.m., she woke to whispering. At first, she thought it was her roommate talking in her sleep, but the room was empty. Then she heard it again, closer, clearer. A little girl's voice singing off-key, just outside her bedroom door. Samantha grabbed her phone and turned on the flashlight. Slowly, she opened the door. The doll was there, sitting upright, smiling, eyes staring straight at her. She screamed and flung it down the apartment garbage chute. The next night, it was back, wet, smelling of ash and sewer rot. This time, it sat directly in front of her bedroom door, waiting. Her roommate moved out a day later, shaken after waking up to see the doll at the foot of her bed with its stitched hand reaching up the mattress. Samantha tried burning it. She doused it in lighter fluid, set it on fire behind the building, and watched it burn. The doll's face melted, blackened. Its yarn hair curled and turned to ash. By morning, it was on her kitchen counter, completely intact, clean. The button eye was no longer dangling. It had been sewn back in with human hair. Desperate, she contacted a local priest who agreed to bless the apartment. As he entered, the air grew icy. He touched the doll and collapsed. Eyes wide open. Heart stopped. Samantha fled. She never went back. The apartment sits abandoned now, sealed shut. Rent never collected. Lights inside flicker at night even though the power's been cut. And neighbors say sometimes you can see it through the window. The doll, sitting by the door, waiting for someone to let it in. 2. Robert the Doll, The Curse of the Watcher. In a museum in Key West, Florida, inside a glass case sits a doll dressed in a sailor suit. His name is Robert. And you don't mock Robert. You don't take his photo without asking. And you never ever speak badly about him. Jackie Cruz, a travel vlogger chasing clicks, didn't care about any of that. She arrived at the East Martello Museum with a camera crew and the smug confidence of someone who'd never been touched by real fear. Laughing, she posed beside the doll. She knocked on the glass, called him creepy, rolled her eyes when the guide warned her to ask permission before taking photos. She didn't ask. She posted the video the next day, mocking Robert, adding spooky music and jump cuts for drama. It went viral. That night, her lights flickered. Her apartment felt off colder, like someone was in the room just out of sight. She ignored it. It's the algorithm, she told herself. People love haunted stuff. But her followers started noticing something she hadn't. In each of her new videos, Robert was there, not in focus, not in frame, but reflected. Once in her microwave door, another time in the bathroom mirror, then again in the back seat of her car. People begged her to delete the video, to apologize. She thought it was a hoax, that someone was messing with her, until her best friend died. A brain aneurysm, completely unexpected. The friend had helped edit the Robert video. She'd laughed at the doll too. Then came the emails, hundreds of them, from strangers, saying they too had mocked Robert, taken photos without asking, and afterward they'd lost jobs, pets, parents, health, sanity. Some wrote from psych wards. Some begged Jackie to delete the video. Some warned her she had little time. The last email came from her editor. Just 3 words, "He's in here." Then silence. Jackie took the next flight back to Key West. She hadn't slept in days. Her hair had started falling out. She carried the doll's printed photo with her, hoping some sort of offering would calm the thing down. At the museum, she stood before Robert's glass case. Her hands trembled. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I didn't mean it. I'm so sorry." The lights flickered. A whisper in her ear, "Too late." Her body was found in her hotel room the next morning, face frozen in terror. Every mirror in the room had shattered. Her camera lay on the floor, still recording. In the final seconds, the video showed Jackie lying in bed. And behind her, just for a moment, stood a figure in a sailor suit. 3. Okiku, the doll with growing hair. In a small shrine in Hokkaido, Japan, lies a doll named Okiku. She is kept behind glass, wearing a faded kimono, her hair black and long, far too long for a doll that once had a neat bob cut. They say the hair grows. They say the girl who owned her never left. In 1918, the Suzuki family lived in a snowy coastal village near the mountains. The youngest daughter, Kakoko, was 5, bright-eyed, curious, always humming. On a trip to Sapporo, her older brother brought her a gift, a doll with porcelain skin, painted lips, and a perfect black bob. Kakoko named the doll, Okiku, after herself. She fed it, talked to it, even slept with it. She talks back, she would whisper to her mother at night. She tells me stories. The parents smiled politely. Until Kakoko fell ill. A sudden fever gripped her. The village doctor came but could do nothing. In days, she was gone. Her family was devastated. They built a shrine in her room. At its center, they placed her beloved doll. That's when the hair began to grow. At first, they thought they were imagining it. But within months, the perfect bob turned uneven. Strands stretched past the doll's shoulders. No one had touched it. The local priest was called. He examined the doll and grew pale. She's still in there, he said. Part of her. The Suzuki family didn't dare dispose of it. Instead, they donated it to the Menenji temple where monks kept it safe. Even now, over a century later, they trim her hair regularly. It always grows back. But that's not the end of Okiku's story. In 2016, a college student named Hannah visited the shrine while studying folklore. She was skeptical of the legend and wanted photos for her thesis. She didn't ask permission before taking them. That night, back in her hostel, she found one of the doll's hairs on her pillow. Black. Silky. Far longer than her own. She laughed it off. Then more appeared. In her clothes, her suitcase, her toothbrush. She woke one night with the sensation of hair in her mouth. Choking. When she sat up gasping, she saw the doll at the foot of her bed. But Okiku was in the temple. Wasn't she? Hannah fled the hostel. She burned her camera, deleted the photos, and booked the next flight out of Japan. But the hair followed her. Every day since, she finds a strand on her pillow. On her mirror. In her sink. The ends are always wet. As if freshly cut. She hasn't told anyone. Not in years. But every few months, she mails a package to the Menenji temple. Inside are small bundles of hair. Just like the monks do. 4. Mandy, the doll in the basement. When Alice Gibbons moved to Canal, British Columbia, she didn't expect much excitement. She was newly divorced, trying to start over in a small town, and had just taken a position cataloging artifacts at the local museum. It was quiet work, and she liked it that way until she met Mandy. Mandy was found locked in the cellar of a crumbling farmhouse. The elderly woman who owned the property refused to go near her. That doll cries at night, she'd whispered to the museum staff. Like a real baby. Alice thought it was just superstition. Mandy was old Victorian era, maybe. Her face was cracked, one glass eye cloudy, the other sharp as a pin. Her mouth was fixed in an odd half-smile, half-sneer. She was wearing a moth-eaten dress and came with a rusted baby rattle, still stained with something that looked like dried blood. Alice was told to keep Mandy in storage until the restoration room opened up. But on the first night, things started happening. The lights in the basement began to flicker. The security alarm triggered with no explanation. Items moved. The museum's night janitor quit after hearing what he described as a baby gasping through a broken throat. Alice tried to laugh it off. It was just an old doll. Just bad wiring. Just imagination. Then she heard it. She was working late one night, inventorying a collection of old mining equipment. The museum was locked. Empty. Still. Then came the sound, soft at first. A distant whimper like a baby about to cry. She paused, holding her breath. It came again. From the basement. She followed it. Down past the exhibits. Past the staff-only signs. Past the creaking old furnace. The basement door was ajar. She descended, her flashlight beam shaking. Mandy's crate was wide open. The doll was sitting in the middle of the floor. The baby rattle lay beside her, moving gently. No breeze. No draft. But it spun. And the sound, it was louder now. Wet. Choking. Like a baby trying to breathe through water. Alice reached for the doll, but the lights cut out. Something cold brushed her ankle. She screamed and bolted back upstairs. locking the basement door behind her. The next morning, Mandy was back in her crate, sealed, as if she'd never left. But Alice had scratches on her ankles, small ones, like fingernails, baby-sized. She demanded the doll be removed, but the museum insisted on keeping her as a main exhibit. Visitors now report strange phenomena: phones dying near her case, sudden cold spots, or the faint sound of crying just beyond earshot. They say Mandy moves at night, that she doesn't like basements, that she wants out. And if you ever see her cracked little face in your dreams, don't follow the sound of the rattle. She's waiting for you to come closer. 5. Pulau Ubin Barbie, the Island Shrine. In the dense, humid jungle of Pulau Ubin, a small island off the northeastern coast of Singapore, stands a makeshift shrine. It isn't a temple or a statue or even a grave. It's a Barbie doll. Blonde. Smiling. Standing silently inside a glass case, surrounded by candles, flowers, and incense. Locals come to pray to her, to ask for blessings, to leave offerings of perfume and makeup, because they believe she holds the soul of a dead girl. And they say she listens. The story begins in the late 1980s when a young German girl visited the island with her parents. She wandered off while they were hiking, chasing a butterfly into the trees. She never came back. The police searched for days. Volunteers combed the trails. Nothing. Until someone found her shoe near a steep cliff. They assumed she'd fallen, but her body was never recovered. Weeks later, an elderly villager said he began dreaming of the girl. She appeared in his sleep, pointing to the jungle, whispering, "I'm here. Bring me a doll." He thought he was going mad. But the dreams continued until finally he took a ferry to Singapore, walked into a department store, and bought the closest doll he could find to the girl in his dreams. A Barbie. When he brought it back to the island and placed it at the cliff's edge, the dream stopped, and the strange things started happening. Locals claimed the jungle trail near the shrine became unnaturally quiet. Animals avoided it. People reported hearing footsteps behind them, but no one was ever there. And once, a skeptic kicked the doll's stand over. That night, his home caught fire. The shrine was untouched. In 2013, a group of teenage boys dared each other to take the Barbie and bring it back to Singapore. They filmed it for laughs, uploading it to YouTube. By midnight, the video was gone, deleted from their accounts, their phones, even cloud backups. One boy was hospitalized with hallucinations. He kept repeating, "She won't blink. She won't blink." The Barbie was found the next morning, back in the glass case. Hair wet, eyes red. No one touched her after that. And then came Mei Lin, a journalist. She visited Pulau Ubin to investigate the legend. She stayed overnight in a tent nearby. That night, she dreamed of a girl, blonde, barefoot, standing at the edge of the jungle trail. But her face was blank, just smooth plastic. When she woke, the Barbie was gone from its case. It was in her tent, grinning, holding a dead butterfly in its hand. She never wrote the article. She moved away. No one's seen her in years. But the shrine remains. Islanders still leave gifts, still pray. And they say, if the jungle ever goes silent around you, completely silent, you should bow, say thank you, and don't turn your back on the doll. Not unless you want to see what's behind that smile.